Apex Legends is the game everyone's talking about, and for good reason. It's one of the best designed battle royales that we've ever played, and it took everyone by surprise when it was released out of nowhere on February the 4th. Now, we're not gonna lie, we've already had a decent amount of wins under our belt here at CBR, so we decided to share the wealth and give you, our dear viewers, some tips and tricks that'll help turn you into an Apex Legends pro. Every time we give tips and tricks to playing Battle Royale games, we always start with two incredibly important words. Be aggressive. Sure, you can sit back and wait until you're one of the final two squads before getting down to business, but what's the fun in that? Get out there and engage in combat. If you know someone's in the building next to you and you have some decent loot, take them out. Apex Legends is a game that rewards aggressive play. It's not like other Battle Royales where all you get from eliminating players is less health and less ammo than you had before the fight. You get rewarded for eliminations. Because there are so many attachments, armor, meds, and shield lying around the game, you're bound to improve your kit even just a little bit. Looting is quick and seamless, making it easy to grab what you need from your opponent before getting back into the fight. The main feature that sets Apex Legends apart from other Battle Royale games is its legends. Whether you prefer Bloodhound, Gibraltar, Lifeline, Pathfinder, Wraith, Bangalore, Caustic, or Mirage, each of these legends have their own set of abilities, and it's important to know what they are, and then main the one that fits your playstyle. If you like to be a medic and make sure everyone in your squad is in tip-top shape, then Lifeline is perfect for you. If you like to bamboozle and confuse the heck out of your opponent, then Mirage is the best choice for you. If you simply want to chew bubblegum and kick some butt, but you're all out of bubblegum, then Bangalore is your bestie. Along with your main, we recommend having two other legends you enjoy playing as, so no matter what legends your team picks before you, you'll be using a character you know a lot about and can do work with. Another incredible feature in Apex Legends is the ping system, so you better learn how to use it well, because even if you deal 0 damage the entire game and get 0 eliminations, you can help your team tremendously by pinging items around the map. All you have to do is press the right bumper or right click on PC once to let players know you want to go in that direction, or that there's an item at a specific location. A double press of the ping button and you'll notify your team of an enemy location. If you hold the ping button, then you get even more commands such as defend here or someone's been here already, which can give even more info to your team, and best of all, it means you don't need to get on your mic and talk to randoms. Just don't be that guy who's constantly pinging everything. That's how you get your pings muted. If you go into your inventory, you can see everything you have, and more importantly, everything that you're missing. Like we just said, the whole point of this ping feature is to give those who might be too shy to talk to randoms a voice, and you could request anything you're missing by simply pinging it in your inventory. Seriously, it's as simple as that, and there's nothing in the game you can't request in some way or another. If you need a barrel attachment for your weapon, just hover over that attachment slot, click the ping button, and it'll let the team know you need a barrel attachment. If you need health, just press D-pad up and the game will automatically let your teammates know you need some meds. It's a very simple and intuitive system, and if someone likes to abuse those requests, muting pings will also mute requests. Listen, we love Pathfinder's voice, just not that much. Now this may come as a shock to many Battle Royale players, but eliminated squad mates can come back in Apex Legends. Once your teammate is fully eliminated, you have 100 seconds to retrieve their banner from their death box. Once you have their banner, you just have to make your way to one of the many respawn beacons around the map. Remember to always check your surroundings and make sure the coast is clear before you attempt to respawn your teammates. Each respawn beacon can only be used once, and if both of your teammates die, you can bring both of them back at a single respawn beacon. It's a great feature because it makes players actually watch their team instead of leave immediately. Respawn teammates won't have all of their loot, but they'll come back at full health, and since there's usually supply crates around, they should be able to get a decent kit together and jump right back into the game. There's a lot to learn in Apex Legends when it comes to movement. For starters, if you want to run as fast as Sonic the Hedgehog, you can put your guns away by pressing 3 on PC and Y or triangle on console. You'll immediately notice a huge change in speed, which can help you out when running from the ring. You could even slide around the map by crouching as you're running, and nothing is funner than doing this down a hill because you just won't stop sliding, making it very easy to get around, and you'll be a very difficult target to hit. There's also no fall damage, which is an incredible breath of fresh air in the Battle Royale genre. While some legends like Gibraltar, who we call Big Jib, look like they're running slower than others, they all have the same movement speed, just different running animations that make them look slower. Now we gotta talk about the looting system, because the looting system in Apex Legends is the best we've seen in any battle royale because it's just so simple and designed with the player in mind. When you eliminate an enemy, their death boxes will be color-coded depending on the loot they have. If it's yellow, they'll have at least one legendary item and so on. When going through their stuff, everything with a circle and a line through it means it's not compatible with your weapon or you already have something better. That's pretty obvious. What's neat is that if you pick up armor from an enemy that you eliminated, it'll automatically have full shield, so you don't need to waste any shield cells or batteries to get it back up. It's also important to look for loot ticks. They look like Apex packs, and you can punch them for some nice loot. They're hard to miss and they make some noise, so they'll certainly catch your eye. One of the features of the looting system that deserves its own entry is how weapon attachments work. In battle royales with weapon attachments, it's such a pain to remove all of the attachments, pick up the new gun, and then reattach everything. It's literally the most annoying thing that we've ever had to do in a video game, and it takes away from the time that you can actually spend playing the game, which is a big no-no. In Apex Legends, you don't have to go through that long, arduous process. Instead, all compatible attachments just immediately apply themselves to your new weapon, and those that aren't compatible drop to the floor, so you can ping them and see if any of your teammates need them. Trust us, they'll really appreciate that. It makes our lives so much easier so we could worry about more important things, you know, like winning the game, or at least trying to. If you've ever come across yellow gear, it's hands down the best in the game. Every single weapon in the game has a yellow form along with a few other items. You can mainly get this gear from care packages. No, not Lifeline's care packages, but those other ones that fall from the sky later in the game. They typically have very rare gear, and if you get your hands on the Mastiff shotgun or the Kraber sniper rifle, you have one of the best weapons in the game. The other yellow items include legendary helmets, body shields, backpacks, or knockdown shields. They have the same stats as their epic versions, but with an extra perk. The helmet reduces your tactical and ultimate ability cooldowns, the armor makes finishing moves fully restore shields, and backpack makes consumables take half the time to use. Oh, and the knockdown shield gives you the ability to self-resurrect. Yeah, they're pretty darn good. When it comes to throwables, the two best items have to be frag grenades and arc stars. We love the thermite grenades too, but it's more useful for cutting off lanes and forcing opponents to run away than actually getting kills because it only does burn damage. On the other hand, frag grenades are lethal damage dealing throwables. They have a 4-second countdown from when you throw them, which can make them useful when it comes to long range throws. If we're being honest, they're better than most weapons at long range, as long as you get the timing right. Arc stars have a shorter 3-second countdown, but it only starts once they attach themselves to something, so you have to be even smarter with them. They're very useful for ambushing players. If you know players will be making their way through a tight space, just throw one or two of these bad boys and they might walk right into it. Like all battle royales, being able to check out how much damage that you've done to a player is incredibly important, but it's the colors that can really confuse players. So that's what we're going to focus on. If the damage comes up yellow, then you got a headshot. If it's purple, blue, or white, then you did damage to their shield of that color. Once you hear the sound of a window breaking, that means you took out their entire shield, and you should be pushing because they'll either start healing or just be weak enough to finish off with a few bullets. If you move in with your whole squad, you could easily decimate the other team, and it's always fun to do that. When the damage comes up red, then you're damaging their health. One last tip, go into the settings and set the damage numbers to floating instead of stacking. This way, it'll be easier to keep track of the numbers. While Apex Legends is set in the Titanfall universe, there's no wall running because you're not controlling any pilots. Legends are completely different from pilots, but they're still very athletic and capable of wall climbing. Yes, even the big Jib is athletic. It's his armor that makes him huge. All you have to do is run towards a wall and then hold the jump button to get you up shorter walls. Now, there are obviously some walls that you can't get up, and you'll figure out the right height fairly quickly, but it's a very useful feature when trying to get to high ground or make a great escape from an unwinnable gunfight. So use this to your advantage. It's always good to have the high ground because players tend to look at what's in front of them, not what's on top of them. Knowing this tendency will allow you to get a jump on plenty of unsuspecting squads. Now let's talk about doors for a second. No, not the band The Doors, but doors you open and close in Apex Legends. They don't seem like much. They're just doors, really, but the doors in this game have plenty of different uses. You could obviously just open and close them, but you could also box players in by using Caustic's gas canisters to block the doors. You could also open and close doors in the knockdown state to block opponents from rushing in and taking you and your teammates out. You could even kick a door open to make one a heck of a grand entrance, and then a second kick to the door will break it clean off its hinges. Last but not least, if you shoot the handle of a door, it'll open by itself. Meaning if you know someone's in there, you could just shoot the handle and throw a grenade in there, or snipe them from afar. Hopups are some of the best rare attachments you can find in the game for a select few weapons. There are only 4 of them in the game, but they all have either epic or legendary rarity, so they're not the easiest to find. Our favorite Hopup has to be the Select Fire Receiver. It's for the Prowler PDW. The Prowler isn't great as a burst fire weapon, but with the Select Fire Receiver, you can make it full auto, which improves the gun tremendously. Another good Hopup is the turbocharger for the Devotion. The gun fires quicker as you hold down the trigger, and the turbocharger just speeds up the process. The Precision Choke Hopup can be attached to the Peacekeeper shotgun and Triple Take Sniper, and it tightens the bullet spread for these guns significantly. The final Hopup is the Skull Piercer rifling for the Longbow DMR and the Wingman pistol. It increases headshot damage, which is always useful. Speaking of accuracy, let's talk about hipfire for a second. If you're unfamiliar with first-person shooters, hipfiring is when you shoot without aiming down the sights. But we're sure you already knew that. Many players try to avoid hipfiring as much as possible, but it's actually quite useful for close-range fights, especially if you're using a shotgun or SMG. Don't be shy to spray and pray if your opponent is a little too close for comfort. All aiming down your sights is going to do at extremely close range is make it even more difficult to track your target, which severely decreases your chances of survival. Many weapons in this game are deadly accurate when firing from the hip, so hip fire if you're in a tight space or if your target is within 5 to 10 meters. Just don't go trying to no-scope players across the map. That'll make you look like a tryhard who's trying to make a compilation video. If you've unlocked Mirage, you know that he's a pretty hilarious dude. His voice actor, Roger Craig Smith, is the same guy who voiced Sonic the Hedgehog in most of his 3D games that weren't so great, but fun facts aside, he's a great legend to use if you love to bamboozle opponents. Not only could Mirage drop decoys on foot, he could drop them in the air as well. When you're dropping at the beginning of the game, you could send 3 decoys in any direction to confuse your opponents and make them think a squad is going to land where they're going. A great strategy is to drop your decoys at the same spot you're going to land, because many jump masters don't want to go where there's one other squad, let alone 2, so they might back out. Most of the time though, especially if you're playing with randoms, it'll just confuse your team and make them think that there's another squad lurking around. Sticking with the drop, there's always a supply ship in the air at the beginning of every game. As Thane Me Too shows us, it stays in the air and flies around before settling down somewhere and releasing zip lines for players to hop back on it. The supply ship always has high tier loot, and you'll be able to get a great kit together on it. But as you might have guessed, it's a hotspot for players, and your squad will never be the only one that lands there, unless you're Thane Me Too. The best way to use the ship is to land there, grab a few items, and immediately jump off. Get in and out as quickly as possible. Like we mentioned earlier, there's no fall damage in Apex Legends, so you'll be safe, but you might be followed, so just get ready to fight right away. Hey, it's a risky landing spot, so we only recommend the best of the best go there. Also, at the beginning of every game is a designated hot zone. These zones have a blue beam of light you can see in the air, and if you open up your map, the hot zone is inside the blue circle. Just like the supply ship, the hot zone is full of high-tier loot, but it's not as risky of a landing spot as the supply ship because even though there's just as many players landing there, it's a much larger space. Fighting in a hot zone is doable, but fighting in the supply ship is like the elevator fight in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. That being said, we don't recommend landing at a hot zone unless you're feeling lucky. If you don't get your hands on a weapon right away, you're probably going to get eliminated very quickly, just like the supply ship. Hot zones are only for players who are very skilled at combat. Have you ever noticed all the balloons around the map and wondered what they did, but were too scared to try them out because you thought they'd make you a big target in the sky? Well, they don't make you a target at all. They're used to help you get around the map quicker. There aren't any vehicles in Apex Legends, so there has to be other means of getting around the map quicker if you're not playing as Pathfinder. Just grapple up the long rope, and once you hit the balloon, you'll go back into glide mode like you were when you were dropping and fly for a short time. Just make sure to be aiming in the direction you want to go before you hit the balloon, or else you'll just fly in the opposite direction, which isn't what you want to happen when you're trying to run away from the ring. These balloons are probably the closest Apex Legends will get to vehicles. The last tip we have for you is very specific and works when trying to calculate bullet drop while using a sniper with a sniper optic. It can be really hard to figure out the bullet drop to hit long-range targets, but using a sniper optic makes things much easier because it automatically scales and then adjusts depending on your target distance. You can see your target distance on the right side of the scope, so use this as your guide to determine how far away your target is. For example, if your target is 200 meters away, line up where it says 2 on the bottom of your scope with your target. The dots are 100% accurate as long as you're at the exact distance. Let's say your target is 225 meters away, then you should aim slightly under the 2. It's a very simple system that allows sniping to be much easier for the casual player. And those are some pointers that'll help you become a pro at Apex Legends. Are there any tips and tricks that we may have missed? What do you enjoy most about the game? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR for more Apex Legends content. Thanks for watching.